Not sure how the lighting is doing on there. Doing my thing again, being a targeted individual. And just a quick thing, it's been a few weeks, so I just wanted to put one in. I think the most important, when it's Havana syndrome, whatever they call it, is that you can go years and you know that your emotions aren't, you're having a hard time because there's something right here blocking right here your ability to feel your natural emotions. Now, I went years of not knowing what it was, what caused it. Is it psychosomatic, or I just knew I had a side pain there. And nobody told me what. Nobody told me what it was or why or any of that stuff. They just let me stew on it and suffer. And I got pain meds, so I was thankful for that. But then I went to the e.l.f. rally and saw all the stuff about Havana syndrome, remember? The FBI getting hit with all those things and CIA. And then you realize this is happening to other people too. And I'm trying to fix my lighting here. Maybe that'll work. Anyway, what they do is during a surgery for something like a broken arm or something, or just anything, they will do this without your knowledge, without your consent, and they get paid a lot of money for it, and they won't tell you. They do it to if you look on my creative playlist, Cheryl Atkinson from Full Measure talks about it, and that they do it all the time. Experimentation on people without knowledge, without any okay. I'm trying to fix this damn light. And when you have V2K, for people who don't have V2K, it sounds crazy, like you're just hearing voices, and that's probably what I would have thought, because it's hard to believe the government would actually do this to you, and yet when you hear it, you just know it's just people messing with you electronically. You know it's not ghost. You know it's not God, or at least I knew it wasn't. It was just, and most of the time they're just talking, just humdrum normal stuff. It's not some genius philosophical anything or beautiful music. It's just, what are we going to do now? This is ridiculous. What are we going to do with this guy? They're bitching about how they have to hang out with me or something. Anyway, they will blame you for not getting your emotions, no change in the emotions. But it's funny because they try to blame you like it's your fault, but they can also manipulate your ability to feel the emotion. So it's like trying to see if you can overcome a hurdle, but they're blocking the ability to feel the emotion with a low frequency, but with some kind of biometric implanted device, and they're trying to see if you can, out of your free will, if you can overcome a barrier of this level, of that 2, 3, 4, or if it's up or down, and to see if what thought will do it, what inspiration will be able to help you, inspire you with more emotion. But they can do it just like that, because about 7, 8 times, what made me realize that my side pain for 30 years is that 8 times they just banished it. They just let my chest here just relax, and it felt wonderful. It's like a muscle just finally relaxing, and I could feel normal. The muscle there was no tension at all. I could feel emotion, your natural, and it's like, this is how I'm supposed to feel all the time. And then, it's not just for a couple, they've done that a few times, but for the most part, when they've done that with, 4 hours, for 4 or 5 hours. And you're like, oh, this is what, it feels wonderful. And you're thinking, if you're religious, God, did you heal me? But then the next day it comes back. So they're trying to gauge in a way, if you can think of something or get an inspiration, a thought, do something, but then they try to make you feel guilty for not being able, like, oh, nothing, no change. You can hear it through the V2K, no change. But they can change it like that. They can make you, they can just turn it off like they've done to me a few times, like 8 times, and you feel wonderful. You can do whatever. You can feel like you can just go after and do whatever you need to do. But then the next day they bring it right back to whether it's number 2, 3, 4, or 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, or 57 and 50. Who knows how they have their buttons. And they're trying to see how their technology works. So they'll try to make you feel guilty, like, why is, no change? And it's like, they're the ones that did it to you in the first place, and then they try to make you feel guilty for why you're that way. Well, they're the ones that did it. They're the ones still. It's not like there was an accident, like just in an operation, and they're still doing it. They're still, to this day, after years, putting on this low frequency to see how in a day-to-day process you react with your emotions, your thoughts. They have that much time to waste and money to burn and waste. They do it not just with me. We don't know how many TIs there are. There are some books that put it out there that there's 2,000. One of the creators, Robert Nunn, first said it was 2,000 with Tyrone Dew, and then in his book it was 10,000. So maybe it grew, but it might just be a few hundred. We really don't know, and what the straight answer, we don't know. In these lawsuits and in these groups of TIs, there's normally 400 to 700 to 800. But in these groups that meet outside of TIs, you might get 40 or 50. And they've been promoting them for years, for months and weeks. But then in these groups outside that meet in Portland or Chicago or Washington, D.C., you might have 20, 40. In Portland, thank God for the e.l.f. Free Rally, there's about 35 of us. I think Roy Acuff was talking in one of his videos, and he said he was saying that he had a friend that was at the Belgium rally from Ikator, and his friend told him that at that rally they were promoting for a year, there was maybe 50 people. So we really don't know how much. They're trying to make us look like nuts when we say there's millions. And of course, with the pandemic and people getting the syringe and the vaccine, it makes us look like we're nuts. When we say that, but we don't know. We don't know if from the emotions that they're doing this, if they're able to synthesize with AI, if they're trying to steal somehow our emotions and put it on a floppy disk and make it a robot. Ikator's mnemonic, what each letter stands for, through the robotization of living things. Some weird analogy or mnemonic for that. Turning people into emotionless robots, which when you are part of this for 36 years now, 37 years, that's what it feels like. I literally spent all these years before it thinking, well, I took the religion too serious about trying to be, holy, dying to yourself, picking up your cross and trying to, not my will, but thine be done. It's kind of a, what would Jesus do type thinking. And it's not a lot of fun, but it's like Thomas à Kempis. And so I read a lot of books on that, like the issue between religion, conservative versus liberal, apostates, people who leave religion, become atheists, and atheists who become religious. So it's been interesting because I didn't know and I certainly didn't want it to happen to other people. But then to find out, oh no, I was just part of some experimentation. And sure enough, 30 years, and then I was still alive. So V2K came in, and then remote neural monitoring. You can hear the people talk what you're privately thinking to yourself, and they're talking about analyzing it back to you, what you're secretly just thinking to yourself. Anyway, they try to manipulate you, and when it's religion, I think they promote scrupulosity. They can hit the basal ganglia part of the brain and keep on promoting whatever your religion is, keep on throwing it at you to see if you become fanatical, and how it ties and relates to emotional inspiration. And it's all scientific from their end, but to see how they can work with people and manipulate people. They use this, like the brain reading stuff. People don't want to believe that. All you need to do is look and see these videos of people who are almost paralyzed, who aren't able to type or voice anything, but they're able to use their brain. And then now their private thoughts are able, just through their brain and thinking, they're able to put it on the screen by thinking it. And now the computer can analyze and write it for them, and they can communicate for the first time in their life. And it's wonderful that they can do this. So that's proving that they have mind reading technology, but they call it something else probably. They don't want to call it mind reading, but that's what it is. And when they do it the wrong way, it's torture. Then you have what we have, remote neural monitoring, voice to skull. It's just in a good way. It does a wonderful thing like helping people with locked-in syndrome. But when it's done in a bad way, then it's a torture, and you got voice to skull and synthetic telepathy and remote neural monitoring. Hello, Miss Spanish lady. Hello. I didn't see you there. And are you a TI yourself, or just interested in, there's a lot of stuff out there. Lots of books that were written in the last, I would say, from 2010 on, but we don't know how many of them are real TIs, and how much is just, it's like the February 6th thing, where all those people stormed the Capitol. The FBI it's admitted that there's at least 40 or 50 that started it to get people into the Capitol. But even this movement, you got a lot of people in the government that are fake, that are starting their own whatever channels and this and that. And I have the ability of knowing who is and who isn't, so I don't even go into that issue of who's a real TI. And I just, if they say they are, I give them the benefit of the doubt, and in time, you just listen to them, and see if it relates. Not all people have the same issues. Not all people have V2K. And when you explain it to people, it sounds nuts. So you're a TI too? Yeah. Yeah, I know when it comes to prayers, we definitely need some inspiration. That's for sure. And if it helps you build up emotionally, I would say meditate, anything that helps you get up, emotionally, comedy, music. I don't listen to much music, but when I do, if I crank it up, then it does help. If it's faith, like religious thing, or sports or comedy, I would say whatever just floats your boat, But I just wanted people to know also, if they do have, I had it since when I was 15. I broke my arm and separated my shoulder after football practice. And then within a few months to a year, I started getting these zaps that felt like what you imagine a heart attack. And that was just in the hospital in, Dallas. So I was born in near Camp Pendleton in Oceanside. My dad was biological dad was in Vietnam, and he was like a rifle instructor. And then, so there's that hospital, being born, and 15, breaking my arm in Dallas. And then suddenly within a year, the weird shit started happening, as far as not weird stuff, but just pain and getting electrical. It took another 30 years, which they just wish I was dead and gone, and none the wiser, that I wouldn't be alive to have this other voice to skull and synthetic telepathy, all the weird stuff, to make me aware, oh shit, I was a guinea pig, still am a guinea pig. You got groups like Icator and Targeted Justice, PAX International. There's a lot of them, but I notice a lot of it's hard to say what all is real and what isn't. But the one thing I know, I came from Dallas, near Salem. I'm in Salem now. A very conservative religious town, which I thought was great. But you would think, but they're chanting "Drain the swamp, drain the swamp," and I never ever, when after 30 years, and it dawned on you that they knowingly put you under a torture experiment. I don't know if it's for life insurance as their cut of it, or if it's just money from the federal government to experiment on me, or if they also get a payday for life insurance. I don't know. But just what shitty people. I thought they were great. I didn't have any enemies. I literally thought the city hall, all the people. I thought they were all pretty good folks. I did not. And then they were having a big laugh at my expense, at me daily being in pain, not being able to have much feeling or emotion because it was literally being sucked from me from this electronic. And then for 30 years, and you just pray, God, what is this? Help me. And the whole time they're just using you as a guinea pig to get money off of your death. And it's a very evangelical town. So I was just like, fuck them, you know? It's like, drain the swamp. Is that what you want the swamp to be drained? Well, go look in the mirror, you know? I love listening to music, comedy, videos, yes. Inspirational books. You're a guinea pig. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. You know what? There's a great video, or it's a site, 2012 Targeted Individual Evidences. And it's got a lot of stuff on there. It's a lot of stuff on my YouTube. If you put my name in, Nielsen-Brewer on YouTube, on my created playlist, I've got a ton, like where it says playlist. If you look under playlist or all or create playlist, I got a lot of stuff on there that videos in the White House bioethics, where they're interviewing and talking to other target individuals from the White House, including Dr. Fauci's wife, Dr. Christine Grady. Her job was to find subjects or people to help in these experimentations. She's an instructor from Georgetown, that's where Mr. Fauci is now too, and also Giovanni. What's his name? George or Giovanni? What's his name? Anyway. Was at Georgetown. And there's two schools that keep coming up in this thing. It's Georgetown and University of Pennsylvania. Probably Stanford too, but those schools and the researchers in Stanford, probably MIT, are really, but especially Georgetown, and a lot of bioethics. And that's what's disappointing about this, is that it reminds me of the pandemic so much, is that a lot of the bioethics, you think that people that are supposed to, that we pay tax money to protect us, not protect the government, but to protect us. And when it came to this, or the pandemic study, or the support study, where they withhold oxygen from babies, premature babies, when it got found out in the newspaper, and by Cheryl Atkinson, Full Measure, I have that video on my thing too, created playlist. The interview where they're talking to people involved with the withholding of oxygen from premature babies, just to see what happens to them, what babies live, what babies die. And you think the bioethicist or the University of Alabama, you think, because Alabama is the South, a lot of Christian people there, they'd go ape shit. Probably a lot of pro-life people, and there'd be going ape shit over withholding oxygen from premature babies. But when it got found out, I mean, it was in the news and newspapers and on TV, but there wasn't a bunch of churches protesting at the University of Alabama or Yale or Stanford or other schools, hospitals that were participating in the study. It was 1,300 babies that were involved in this study. It was called the Support Study, SUPPORT or SUP. But it's like support study. And anyway, it's interesting to see how far morally we've sank. Anything for the sake of science, but don't tell the babies and don't ask the people involved in those studies if they're glad to be in it. Because I know as hell I am not glad to be part of this study. Nobody asked me. I'm sure nobody asked you if you wanted to be a part of it. But it's funny because at least with the internet, now the stuff's getting out. And all that drain the swamp talk that our leaders hope never would come out, that they were knowingly part of this, getting money for it, and just hoping we would die and not be made aware of it. Well, their reputations are going to go to shit, don't you think so? So much for drain the swamp and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go make some dinner for my mom. She gets home around 7. I think tonight around 7:30. So anyway, Miss Spanish Lady, feel free. I'll be on every once in a while. So, okay. All right. I'll talk to you maybe another time, and then other TIs out there. So, but I'm not sure because a lot of times it's just people from the Fusion Center, doing their thing. So, all right. You guys take care. Bye-bye. End stream.